Hello everyone and welcome. Today I am baking a berry tart cake. In Polish we call this Tarta. So for this one it's relatively easy to make. What we're gonna use is 300 grams of all-purpose flour I have here, and then of course the cold butter. It has to be really cold, and I have 150 grams here. Then we're gonna need 3 egg yolks, so I'm gonna separate these. About 80 grams of powdered sugar, of course a pinch of salt, and that's all that we need for the crispy dough for the bottom. Now, as far as the cream for the inside, I have the mascarpone cream here, and this is what I'm gonna make. So we're gonna need about, let's say, 300 grams of that, and then 200 grams of the heavy whipping cream or Cool Whip, whatever you have. Of course, we're gonna add some gelatin to this, so I'm gonna add this gelatin. Just make sure you dissolve it in like half of the water that is recommended. So that's what we're gonna use. And then as far as the fruits go, probably gonna need about almost 1 kilogram of fruit here. I may not use it all, but at least most of it. So let's say 800 grams of fruit. And then for the top of the fruit, I have here, it's a Polish galaretka, which is poziomkowy smak. It's like little strawberries. It's a different type of fruit that they don't really have in the US. So you can use clear gelatin for that. I just ran out of it, and I don't want to use this for the top. So I'm gonna use that one, and with this, just make sure you dilute it with a little bit less water than the recommendation, so that it thickens really quickly, and it's gonna be a little bit harder. So pretty much this is it for all, but if I've forgotten something, then I'll just add on. So let me begin by making the pastry. The short crust pastry then. So to my food processor, I'm gonna add the flour. I'm gonna add the butter. Add a pinch of salt. And add the powdered sugar, and let's give it a few minutes. And now when the dough turns out sort of sandy like this, so we know it's ready, it's well incorporated. The butter has incorporated with the flour well. So now we're gonna add our 3 egg yolks to this, and we're gonna mix again. So now the dough is well mixed. Take it out. And let's remove the dough. And now I have here, which this is a tart pan, so let me give you the measurements of that. They are 9 inches by 1.12 of an inch height, or 22.8 by 2.8 centimeters. So we're gonna have to do this with our hands. You can also roll it and just kind of get it to the corners there. Now I'm gonna take a spoon and just even it out. Okay, so this looks pretty good now. So what we need to do is just take your fork and make some holes around it, just so that the dough doesn't rise. And now let's refrigerate this for at least 30 minutes, and then we'll put it into a preheated oven. Let's preheat our oven to 350. And now I am placing the dough into the oven, and it just straight from the refrigerator to the oven. 350 degrees for about 20 minutes or until it gets brown. Just gently brown. Here I have 300 milliliters of water, and I am going to boil that for the gelatin that goes on the top of the berries. So the recipe calls for 500 ml of water, and you're gonna do 3 so that it can thicken up relatively quickly. And here I'm gonna add 100 milliliters of water for the gelatin that will go into the filling. So the water has now boiled for the gelatin number 1. I'm just going to dilute this. Set it aside now. Well, and now the water for the gelatin number 2 has boiled, so I'm gonna dilute this one. Just make sure you don't boil it. This is the clear gelatin that will go into the filling. This one will lump up a little bit, but after a while it's gonna dissolve on its own, so just cover it up. Now let's mix the mascarpone cream, the cheese. So we want 300 grams of the cheese, and then 200 grams of the whipped cream. Or if you're using like the heavy whipping cream, that'll be 200 grams as well. Really need any sugar in here unless you want to add some, go ahead. If you want to add your vanilla cream or any other flavors, you can do so right now. So here, we don't need any mixers for that because this is really simple. And then we're just going to add the gelatin to it. The cake is still in the oven, it's still baking. And before it cools off, then we have to refrigerate this. We can't put the gelatin into this right now because if we did, it would set in here, and we want it to set in the tart. So let's refrigerate this until we're ready with the cake. It has to come to a complete cool before we can even do that. So it's just a little time consuming. And the tart is almost done. It still needs to brown a little bit more. So let's leave it in for a few more minutes. And both gelatins are dissolved now. No lumps. Just waiting to mix them. And here's the other one. I placed the tart on just on the cooling rack right now. So we'll let it cool before we can place the filling into it. And now we will add the second gelatin, sorry, into this, and then we'll pour it over the cake. And we're gonna have to do this relatively quickly. Spread it all even. And now let's place the fruit. These are relatively big. Now let's add the final gelatin. Now the gelatin has thickened a little bit. We want it porous but not totally set. And then just cover the fruit so that they have that shiny gloss kind of on them. And it preserves their, as you may say, longevity, so they don't spoil or look bad as fast. And then let's set this in a refrigerator again until it all sets, and then we'll cut it and see how it looks inside. And the tart is now done. I removed it from the pan. There's just a little one around it, and I'm gonna cut into it. There it is. So if you like this recipe, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching.